It's invisible, it's odorless, and it can be absolutely lethal. It's produced by things we use every single day, yet a lot of us don't really understand the danger it poses. So today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the silent killer, carbon monoxide. 50,000. Just let that number sink in for a second. That's about how many people end up in an emergency room in the US every single year because of carbon monoxide poisoning. It's a huge number, especially when you realize this is a danger that is almost entirely preventable. It's a pretty simple molecule, but its effect on the human body is devastatingly complex. So to really understand how to protect ourselves, we've got to understand how it attacks us in the first place. So what is it about this gas that makes it so incredibly dangerous? Okay, here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll look at the silent nature of the threat itself. Then we'll get into how poisoning happens from sources you probably have in your home right now. We'll dive deep into what it does to your body, how doctors fight back, and then, the most important part, how you can stop it from ever happening. All right, so first up, let's get a handle on this invisible intruder. Its greatest weapon is its stealth, right? Because you can't see it, you can't smell it, you can't taste it. It can build up to these really dangerous levels without giving you any warning at all. So what is this stuff, really? Well, scientifically speaking, carbon monoxide, or CO, is a gas that gets created whenever a fuel with carbon in it, think gasoline, propane, natural gas, even wood, doesn't burn up completely. You see, when the burn is perfect, you get harmless carbon dioxide. But when it's not perfect, you get this. And that brings us to a really critical question. Where does this incomplete burn actually happen? The answer, unfortunately, is kind of all around us, in things we rely on pretty much every day for comfort and convenience. What's so striking is just how common these sources are. I mean, we're talking about cars and portable generators, sure, but also everyday appliances like the furnace heating your home, your water heater, or even a charcoal grill. The real danger pops up when any of these are used without good ventilation. So it clearly doesn't take a lot to cause some serious harm, but how much is too much? Luckily, health and safety organizations have spent decades figuring that out for us. If you look at the official limits from groups like the World Health Organization, you get a really clear picture. For example, their indoor guideline says your 8-hour average should be no more than 9 parts per million. To put that in perspective for you, that's like finding just 9 drops of water in an entire swimming pool. It just shows you how incredibly toxic this gas is, even in the tiniest amounts. So, since our own senses are useless against this threat, we need a backup. And that brings us to the single most important tool you can have for safety at home: a carbon monoxide alarm. Now, these devices are literally calibrated to save your life. They don't just go off the second they sense CO. They're designed to react based on the concentration over time. So at a low level, say 70 parts per million, it might take a few hours to alarm. But at a really dangerous 400 parts per million, that thing has to sound the alarm in just minutes. The tech is smart. It's meant to mirror how your body would be affected, sounding the alarm faster as the danger becomes more immediate. Okay, so what happens if the alarm fails? Or maybe it's not even there, and you breathe this stuff in. Well, this is where the molecular hijacking really begins. CO gets into your lungs, then your bloodstream, and it starts a fight that it's frankly designed to win. Once CO gets into your blood, it latches onto hemoglobin. That's the protein in your red blood cells that's supposed to be carrying oxygen. This new toxic thing it forms is called carboxyhemoglobin, or COHB for short. And doctors can actually measure this level to figure out how severe the poisoning is. So on the left, you see a healthy red blood cell just doing its job, delivering oxygen. On the right, though, that's a poisoned one. Here's the crazy part. The bond between carbon monoxide and hemoglobin is over 200 times stronger than the bond with oxygen. CO literally kicks oxygen out of its seat and then just refuses to leave. What happens then? Your vital organs, especially your brain and your heart, are starved of the oxygen they desperately need to survive. And the result is this cascade of symptoms that can be so deceptive. The early signs, headache, nausea, dizziness, are really easy to mistake for the flu. But as the poisoning gets worse, it can lead to confusion, chest pain, losing consciousness, and ultimately, death. And even for those who do survive, the damage can be permanent. As one of our sources puts it, brain injury is common, and it leads to long-term neurological problems. We're talking about everything from imbalance and weakness to conditions that look a lot like Parkinson's disease, along with severe anxiety and depression.
It's a terrifying scenario, there's no doubt about it, but there is a way to fight back. And the weapon we use is the very thing that carbon monoxide tries to steal from us: oxygen. The first steps are the most critical. You have to get the person out of that contaminated area and into fresh air immediately. Then emergency responders will give them 100% pure oxygen, usually through a mask, to start flushing that CO out of the bloodstream. But when the poisoning is really severe and the brain and heart are at serious risk, just breathing oxygen isn't always enough. That's when doctors need to bring out a more powerful tool to force the CO out and start reversing the damage. And that tool is hyperbaric oxygen therapy, or HBO. Think of it as a multi-pronged counterattack. A patient is placed in a special chamber with high pressure, which allows their body to absorb way more oxygen. This doesn't just clear the CO out of the blood super fast, it also reduces the dangerous brain inflammation the poisoning causes, and it helps protect cells from further damage. Now, while the treatment is remarkable, the ultimate goal is to never need it in the first place. And this brings us to our final and maybe most empowering section: creating a visible defense against an invisible threat. This is your safety checklist, plain and simple. First, install CO alarms on every single level of your home, especially near bedrooms, and test them every month. Second, get your furnace, your water heater, any fuel-burning appliance you have checked by a professional once a year. And finally, and this is so important, never ever run a car, a generator, or a grill in an enclosed space like a garage. Carbon monoxide is a silent killer, for sure, but our defenses don't have to be silent. Alarms, maintenance, and just awareness. These are loud, clear, and visible shields. All the information is in your hands now. So the only question left is your home protected?